Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Soul Led Living. It is so nice to be back after a week off from the pod. I'm happy to be here and excited to go over our December predictions. Hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving if you're in the States. I was hosting people for like 9 days straight, guys, at my house. I have never washed so many towels and sheets in my life in a small amount of time. But it was really nice. My best friend's family came. My sister-in-law, the one that's married to my husband's son, I'm sorry, my husband's brother, she came with my niece, and then my younger brother came with his family and little babies. So I had a little 5-month-old in my house, and it was beautiful. But not gonna lie that I was excited to be here with you today. I'm like, I'm gonna record a podcast. I'm gonna be an adult today, like a real person. So happy to be here. December, I'm excited about December. It was a little unexpected to me when I was meditating into December. It had a very like sweet vibe, very sage vibe. Like December is here to support us in what we want is, I guess, is what I'm getting. And the way we get support is not always like by giving us the opportunities or making things happen, but it's almost like this month there will be like a lot revealed to us, not in a scary way, but just like shown to us. And we're going to get a lot of intuitive guidance and hits. And it feels like it's going to come mainly from your body, almost like not really from your thinking so much, but your body is going to guide you to certain places to basically set you up for dreams, for like goals, for where you're going. And I know obviously, New Year is known for like new year, new you, like goals and things like that. So we're going to have a little bit of that energy, but this felt deeper than this. December was like, oh, that thing that you want? Cool. I'm going to help you get there, but you need to pay attention this month. Like you need to be aware, be observant, have your eyes open, have your ears open, because I'm going to give you a lot of clues. And even though it's going to be fast and crazy, December definitely feels like one of those months that like is almost skipped over. Like I kind of was like, woof, we're already in January, but there's a lot here. It's very action packed and it has a lot of information for you, like data for you for where you're going. So pay attention, have your eyes open. I know that this is the month that we're like just trying to survive, often we're just like, I'm just trying to ride the wave. But as you're riding that wave, if you can just keep your eyes open, like really be in tune with yourself, even though I know it's easy to get caught up in other relationships and, doing for other people this month. But this felt like pay attention to the clues, pay attention to the signs, to the messages, like pay attention to the wisdom that is like coming through to you, or like randomness. Like this morning, my mom called me and told me the randomest story that I was like, whoa, some story about my grandmother. And it was so informative for me, actually. I was like, Mom, why haven't you told me this before? Why did I not know this story? It was kind of like a key to the lineage, you know what I mean? And it was out of nowhere. Like she doesn't really call me on a Monday morning typically. It was kind of a weird phone call and it felt like a little bit of a clue to me. So that's what this month feels like. That's what December is trying to do. It's trying to be your friend. It's trying to get you to where you want to go. It's not going to do anything for us necessarily, but it's going to show us some things that are really going to help us to where we're going. So I have 11 messages or predictions about December. You know that I always call them messages because it's just the way I understand things. So yeah, let's get into December. Message number 1. There will be a reflection on the lineage, on your genetics, your genes, where you come from, the people you come from. And this kind of made sense to me because I was like, okay, well, usually the end of the year is a time where we like meet up with family, even though we maybe haven't seen them all year or whatever. It's the time of the season. But it felt like there are keys and clues to you and to where you're going and to kind of maybe even what you're struggling with, like what you're trying to overcome, where you're trying to go, that actually stem from the lineage. So I was just sharing that story about my mom calling me today, and it really felt like that. Like it felt like a key. I was like, oh my gosh, like I saw myself in what she was saying about my grandmother. So there's going to be an emphasis on that. There may even be an emphasis on like genes, like almost like you're looking at your children and you're like, okay, let's not pretend that this kid does not have my genes or does not have their father's genes. Let's try to see if we can do it better. For example, my little one is definitely showing like stomach issues, very similar to the stomach issues his dad has and his older sister. So like, let's not pretend that there is something there, and let's go into it. So there's something about reflecting and having this awareness of your lineage, what's being passed down. And it doesn't feel judgmental, or it doesn't feel like heavy healing. It's not like, damn, like I gotta deal with this, or I can't believe. It feels more like a clue. Like I want you to kind of, when you think about reflecting on the lineage, I don't see you having to seek it out. It looks like you're just gonna be aware of it. It's gonna come from the people you're interacting with this month, or with your, or like stories, or maybe even like a movie. It feels like it's an aha moment. Like it doesn't feel like it's something I'm seeking. It looks like it's a reflection moment. Like, oh my gosh, like that's a clue, that's an answer. And you're going to look at it with curiosity. So with that curiosity, you're not going to feel like like kind of a victim mentality sometimes. You know, when you do that really heavy therapy work, and it's just like, damn, like why did I get this, why did I get like this parent, or this like sibling, or this kid, or this partner. It's not going to feel so much like that. It's going to be like, oh, it's going to actually feel a little bit empowering, because again, it feels like a puzzle piece, a clue, or a key. So it is basically going to be revealed, because it's going to help you understand how to shift into where you're going. So it's some sort of information that makes you be like, okay, I just need to not do it like that, or I need to do it like that. This reminds me, I've told you guys the story before, but I remember I was like trying to lose weight for my wedding. And for some reason, my body always looks different than like my other family members. And I remember when I was getting ready for the wedding, I was like, no, hold on. I come from this gene pool. I have the ability to like be fit the way that they are, and to like, eat a certain way or look a certain way. And I really like leaned into being like, this is my genetic pool. Like I'm like meant to look like this. So it could sometimes even be like a empowering thing, like almost like I want that, my mom is very outspoken, and she cracks me up sometimes, and she also embarrasses me a lot. But at the same time, I'm like, no, like that's where I come from. Like I come from the strength of a lineage of women. So it may not be necessarily a bad thing, where you're like, oh my gosh, like my mom, the women in my lineage always date a certain type of guy, and that's why like I'm ending up like this. It can also be an empowering thing, and it feels like you have to either lean in or recognize what needs to be shifted out. And that's going to be shown through the lineage, and it's not supposed to be dramatic. We're not supposed to get caught up in the drama or the emotions of it, but instead really see how it could support us to where it's going. Like it's just a clue. It's no judgment, like truly like no judgment about it. Be like, okay, cool. Thanks for that information. I'm going to use this to go where I'm trying to go. Message number 2, honesty. Self-honesty. We will be met with self-honesty this month. And what do I mean by that? It feels like there will be maybe what we consider blocks or shadows being shown to us. And again, we're ready to kind of see them without falling apart. A lot of what we're going to see this month is nothing necessarily new. It's just that we are more ready for them. There's like a drama element that has really been like released from us, where we're going to be able to meet some of these like shadows and blocks and see them again, probably for the 17th time, but to see them in a way that is, again, more of a clue, of a piece of a puzzle, rather than, oh gosh, like poor me, or I suck, I can't believe I have this problem. It's really about getting it fixed. So there's going to be this like illumination, this self-honesty to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, of course, the reason, I can't stay focused is because I have ADHD or something like that, like it makes me feel like it's something that you're not going to judge anymore, but you see the problem and you're really more focused on the fixing of it. And it's, again, we're looking at something that we've looked at in many times. We're just looking at it with a different angle, a different perspective. And the perspective feels much more fixing oriented. Like, let's just get it fixed. I don't need to talk about it. I don't need to wonder why it happens or wonder. It's like, I need the solution. And it really is about like fixing the solutions. For example, let's say you've had a money issue for many years and you're like, oh my gosh, why? Like, why? Why do I have a money issue? It almost looks like that's the way we've been approaching some of our shadows. And this time feels like you're still dealing with the same problem. You're still seeing the same shadow. You're still seeing the same issue. But instead of saying why, you're going to say, how? How do I fix it? How do I jump over? How do I not have this problem anymore? Like, how do I overcome this rather than the why? Because the why kind of, I guess what it was doing was keeping us in the past. And the how is the leap that leads us into the future and gets us over the hill, over this mountain that we have met many times. Again, you just need some self-honesty for this one. So really move into December with curiosity and like this bravery to be able to be honest with yourself. If you can be honest with yourself this month, you will get so much out of this month. Like, it will set you up for next year in a way that you can't imagine. So this is just like not a time for all the Cancer feels, like I'm a Cancer and I can like basically like drown in a puddle of emotion sometimes. It's just, that is not going to serve us. I'll let you know the month that our emotions are helping us. This month, they are not. It's really about fixing. How do I jump over? Like, what is the solution? How do I get there? What do I need to do? So very action oriented and like solution oriented. And sometimes it's going to be something you bring in, like a routine, but sometimes it could just be like a mindset. It feels like I'm thinking about this differently. That's really what like message number 2 was. Like, I'm meeting something that I've met many times, but I'm seeing it totally different this time. Message number 3. This one scared me a little bit. Not necessarily for me, but for you. I was like, okay, how do I say this in a way that doesn't like put too much pressure on people? There's something about December where decisions are going to be made. So, because there's something about December that is very action and like plan oriented. And it looks like some of the decisions we make this month are like commitments, are things that we might be doing for the next 6 months, the next, year, even maybe the next 5 years. There's something about this month that really kind of sets us up for where we're going, right? I've talked about that. So with that, these decisions, there are certain decisions, not every decision, it's not necessarily like, what decision am I going to make to, what am I going to eat for lunch? But there are going to be some certain decisions that come our way this month that are really going to set us up for a long period of time. And I say that, lightly, because I don't want you guys to feel pressured, like that every decision is so important. But there are going to be some things that you do this month that you're going to be able to like go into the future, a year from now, 3 years from now, maybe even just 6 months, and be like, oh, I remember making that commitment or that decision or, or that shift in December, and that's how I got here. It almost makes me feel like it's an action that manifests. And you want to be aware of it. Like, you want to know that some of these decisions are going to bring you down a certain path. And of course, I was like, well, this is kind of scary to kind of think that some of these decisions are going to last. And I'm sure we're making decisions like that all the time. I'm not sure why, December is telling me about this right now. But what I was getting was that, and to take the pressure off of ourselves, if we see some of these decisions, and maybe it's like a strategy you're making, maybe it's a person you're dating or a product that you're going to come out with, I was getting that what you want to do to kind of take the pressure off of yourself, because, it's hard to know if the decision is the right one or the wrong one. There is no right or wrong. There is just higher paths and lower paths. So again, I know that's kind of scary, but I was getting that we want to ask ourselves, what is the highest path for me? What is my highest path? So if you are aware of these decisions, like if they're starting to show themselves and you're a little nervous about committing, I want you to say like, okay, God, like I'm a little nervous about committing to this and I'm not sure if this is the right thing, but I really want to like let go of the wheel and I want to take my highest path. So show me or tell me or guide me to the highest path, and that's really what I want to do. If this is not my highest path and I make this decision, please let it be obvious that this is like not the right decision for me, or even let it fall apart, because I understand that this is going to lead me somewhere for the next few years, months. So I want to make the highest choice. And when I say highest choice, you know what that highest choice really means for you? It is the choice of being in the highest self-worth. Have you ever, maybe you have felt this before, or like maybe you know somebody who has had this situation where, and I feel this is true for me, like, you know, when you start dating at like 26, right? I met Benny at 27. I got married at 29. And obviously, I'm such a different person like now than I was at that age. And one of the biggest shifts, I think, is that I had lower self-worth at that time. And then all of a sudden, like, you attract, Benny's amazing. I'm not talking about Benny, but I'm saying like you attract people, right? Like when you're at lower self-worth and by accident you marry a guy, or you commit to a job, or you created a business partnership at a time where you were like at a lower vibration, you had less self-worth, and then 10 years pass and you're like, damn, now I have a lot of more self-worth. And if I could have just made that choice from a more self-worth place, I probably would have not ended up with this person. I would have made a very different choice. I would have picked a different career. I would have picked a different partner, right? And not that we're here to like look at the past and, you know, resent any of those decisions, but there's something about that now. Like you get that do-over, that there's these decisions that are going to come forward that you want to do your best to make them from the highest self-worth. And you may not have the highest self-worth right now, because I think that I can have high self-worth in the morning, and at the end of the day, I can have really low self-worth, right? It's not like super set in stone all the time. And, you know, you can make a decision from a very scared, anxious place, or you can make a decision from a super cool, calm, and collective place, right? So this is not really about you being good or you being bad, but this is about making decisions from the highest point possible, because they're going to mean something in a few months, in a few years. So if you see any of these decisions that seem to be about commitment, it could be career, you know, relationship, all that, see if you can set the intention for like, okay, if I was my future self, if I was my highest worth self, what decision would I make here? So I'm not Nikki of today. I'm like actually the Nikki of the future that already feels worthy about this situation. What would I choose? So that's going to pay off. It's just a hack, and it's really going to pay off. In December was like, please let them know about this, because it wants to help you get to where you're trying to go. That's really the vibe of this month. Message number 4. No surprise here, but there will be a lot of plans. But plans, not because I'm trying to like hit goals or like force things to happen or make things happen. It feels like there are plans for organization. Next year, there is so much to take advantage of next year, but only for people who are organized. Only, and I don't mean organized like you have to have a plan and you must stick to it, but it feels like organized like in the way that I manage myself, in the way that I manage my time. So managing myself might be like, okay, Nikki, yeah, I know you don't feel like waking up and sitting at your desk at 9 today, but we have to put in X amount of hours because we're trying to get to a certain place. And that means that like Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, I have to work a certain amount of hours to get myself there. And some Tuesdays, I'm not going to feel like doing it, right? And it's a way of self-managing myself. So like, let's say I don't always want to sit down and do the podcast, but I want the results of the podcast. And I have to manage myself accurately to be able to get this done, basically. So it feels like there's plans and strategies that are really about keeping us organized and keeping us accountable for what we really want. And so I kind of feel like a good exercise this month would be mapping out where you want to go. So maybe you're like, I want to make, I don't know, 100 grand next year. And almost saying like at the end of the year, so December 2025, I've made 100 grand. Okay, so if I go backwards and I'm like, okay, what did I do in December of 2025? What did I do in November of 2025? What did I do in, it's hard to go backwards, October, right? And it feels like a mapping back of what it took to get to that goal and that organization it seems like what's going to come forward now. So it's not a it's a self-management organization is how it feels. And it also feels like it has to do with, I feel like money is going to be very big next year. Like people are going to hit money goals next year. And I'm very excited. There are even like love goals, like very, that Sex and the City episode that I talk about all the time, guys, where Charlotte was like, I'm going to get married this year. There's that happening. There's just these like, I am fed up with all the years that this thing has not happened, and I am going to show up and make it happen in 2025. But it's just not going to be done without a plan and a strategy that manages you and your time and keeps you accountable. It's like you are the talent, you are the creator of your life, you are the painter of your life, and that painter is a diva sometimes and doesn't want to do what it needs to do in order to get to where it's supposed to go. And actually that leads me, there's another message that kind of connects to this one in message 7, and I'll share that with you in a second. But yeah, like if you know this is showing up for you, and if you are not a Virgo, like my amazing assistant Kat, you may need to just like set some time aside to go backwards from what you're trying to accomplish. And you can simply do like, what would I love to accomplish in 2025? Like even just give yourself the exercise. And it could be like, I want to, run a marathon, or I want to whatever. Like even just getting into the practice of it, even if you don't know exactly what it is, it looks like this kind of self-management, like mastery, basically, like a self-management mastery is going to come forward through these plans and this organization, and it's just going to kind of change your life. Message number 5. December has what I like to call a fuck it, let's go energy. Do you guys have you ever heard of that term before? Like, fuck it, let's go. To me, that is like, I'm not going to overthink this anymore. I'm not going to doubt myself anymore. I have no idea if it's going to work, but I'm going to try. I'm going to throw something at the wall. I'm going to see what sticks. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to try it. And it really is this release of perfectionism. And just honestly, release of like cowardliness, guys. Like, come on, like let's just go. Like this is silly. So there is a trying, again, kind of just doing it without having this guarantee that it's going to work, like not sure if it's like fully going to work. It's nothing that is super logical. It's nothing that you've done before. So you're not sure if it's going to work, but you just got to go. Yeah, this is like throwing your hat in the ring. This may be like pitching yourself in a way that you're like, I'm probably not going to get this, but I'm still going to put myself out there. I'm probably not, going to get that opportunity, but I'm still going to try. I'm not going to wait anymore is kind of the feeling of this one. It's like, it's like, fuck it. I'm just going. So I know that might contradict with what we just heard, but like, again, I said that planning is not really like I have a plan and I must stick to it. That planning is more about managing myself, like really being able to manage the way that I move through the day so that I can stay accountable to what I want. So this next message is really about moving with that energy that's trying to ask you to go, even though you don't have all the answers. So I don't really see as much of a plan. It's like you're going to do the best you can with what you have. So if your little ears are ringing about this one, if you're like, yeah, I've been thinking about writing that book, I've been thinking about, whatever, setting up that business or putting myself on those dating apps, like this is for you. You just can't bubble wrap yourself, You cannot bubble wrap yourself enough to get to where you're trying to go. So you're going to get a little scratched up and you're going to fall down a little bit and it's not going to be perfect and you're going to have to apologize for looking like an idiot sometimes, but there's just no way to go to where you're trying to go without this energy, and December brings us that energy. It's just this beautiful, I don't need to be perfect, I don't need to keep waiting energy. And it feels like it's a lack of doubt, but not necessarily a lack of fear. Like it almost makes me feel like I might be going down the roller coaster, peeing my pants, but I'm still doing it anyways. And I'm just not going to doubt myself. The doubt is what doesn't let me get on the roller coaster. But the fear can come with me, and I'll just scream my way through the roller coaster, you know? But fear is also almost best friends with excitement. Like, right? Like you go down a roller coaster, you're scared, but you're also so excited and screaming. So it feels like those two emotions are going to go with you. The only thing that is missing is this constant chatter in the brain about doubt. Like, yeah, over it. No more. No más, por favor. Okay. Message number 6. I was getting towards the end of the month, and we're moving into Christmas and New Year's, and I was looking at those weeks. And I was actually, although like those weeks can be busy, I was actually seeing those weeks being very important downtime. And maybe you do not have it in your schedule because maybe you're visiting family or the kids or whatever. But I'm seeing that actually, like, instead of planning some super action-packed, adventurous vacation, which might already be on the calendar for you, but I'm getting like, can you take a day where you, even if you're on that vacation, or take a few hours and go to the Starbucks or go to the library, and there's some sort of reflection. And I think this might kind of have something to do with like that organization, the planning. It could even be like you're home for the holidays and you're organizing your home or you're getting things ready. But I see you using this downtime to actually like create, to actually make something, or at least like start making something. And it might look like organization, but it also might actually look like creativity. It may look like starting to write that book. Like December has a lot of 2025 vibes, but it's like an early start to 2025 vibes is what December is bringing. So even though you might say like, oh, I'm going to write my book this year, my sense is like, we may see you start writing it on December 26th because you happen to have some downtime. You don't have to go to work. So I really see this time being important for creation if you've been thinking about creating something, because there's just no better use of your time, because sometimes especially when we're with family, it happens to me all the time. I get so distracted by family. Like I'm a very present person. So unfortunately, like I'll just, before you know it, I've just chilled for 4 days with family, like just talking garbage and being like, oh, I could have taken that time to do X, Y, Z, and I didn't. And I mean, I don't judge myself for that because that's obviously important as well. But there's something about the end of this month where this downtime, not to be productive, but the downtime is about being creative. So it could also even be like, I'm on vacation and I'm just going to take one day to just get lost in the town that I'm in and take photos. There's something about creativity that is very important. It looks like it's the beginning of something, and it just may even light you up in a way that surprises you. So really be intentional about that downtime if you can, if this is one of the messages that really stood out to you, because it looks like it's going to mean something to you. And then message number 7, coaches, accountability. It's coming for you guys. It's funny, I coach a lot of people, obviously, and I teach and all that stuff, but I'm kind of a lone wolf. I've always invested in myself and had coaches and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like I am doing it necessarily consistently, or I've definitely taken tons of breaks from that. But I don't know, there's just this energy of people that are going to come into your life and keep you accountable. And you may even been seeking it out, or like it might come your way and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do that. I highly recommend anything that's going to keep you accountable and it feels like it's a real life person, or a real life community, as opposed to, an app that's like, whatever, trying to keep you organized. I see like a person, like a coach, that could be like a trainer that you're going to hire, for getting back on track health wise or something. But I feel like there's like a person that's going to come into your life that you're going to be like, damn, I want to kick this person in the face, because they're really trying to keep you accountable to what you want, but you're ready for it. So you're like ready to put your big girl panties on basically, and there's somebody that's going to come into your life that helps you with that, and it's really about accountability. And it's not that this person is going to do everything for you or like make things happen. It looks like you're taking them on because you need somebody to help you show up every day. So it could also be like a buddy, like a friend, maybe that like annoying friend that you don't really want to tell that you want to go walking with every day because you know she's going to wake you up like every day and make you go walking, But I would say go outside of that comfort zone a little bit and do things like that, because you're going to really appreciate this kind of personality, this person, this coach, or this system. It could, and like I said, it could also be like a community, like just some sort of, when you take like when you sign up for a class and you have to take tests and things like that. It feels like it's a little annoying, like you're like annoyed that you're in the program, or annoyed that you have to do the thing, or annoyed that you have to pay the money. But I just see it being I just see you being ready for it. Where like maybe a year ago, I'd be like, no, that's not a good investment. You're not ready for that kind of accountability yet. But I do see you like getting something out of it. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears out for that. Think about what it is that you're trying to create and ask yourself, like, who would be a good person to help me stay accountable and to be my coach? Coach is a word, like it's a coach. All right, friends, that is December for you. I can't wait to see what comes of it. Definitely, like, if you're doing any sort of fun planning or some fun goal setting, send me a picture. I'd love to see it. Or just, yeah, let me know if any of this resonated with you and what you think you're going to be doing with December. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. It would mean so much. I hope that these messages get out to more people. I am super passionate about helping people live into their dream life. And I feel like these messages like just keep us on path and keep us accountable. So share the love. And I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next episode.